This conference will now be recorded.
Good morning, everybody, and welcome to the October edition of the Iowa 911 Communications Council. Just to get started, we'll take a roll call of the council members, please.
Okay, can you hear me? Tracy Bearden?
Here.
Lawrence Hartpence? Sheriff Roder is here. George Griffith? Mike Bryant?
Here.
Mark Murphy?
Here.
Jeff Anderson? Richard Pierce? Rob Dennert?
Here.
Jack D'Angelo?
Here.
Taylor Teeple? We have a quorum.
Okay, thank you. Given that we're spread out all over the state, we'll forgo with the guest introductions, and if I could get a motion to approve today's agenda.
Mark Murphy, so moved.
Thank you. Do I have Thank you. Any discussion? All those in favor signal by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Aye.
Opposed, same sign. And motion approves. And then likely, also, could I get a motion to approve the September 9th, 2021 minutes? Thank you. Do I have a second? Very good. Any discussion? All those in favor signal by saying aye.
Aye.
Again, same sign. And motion carries. Okay, Blake is not with us today, so in place of Blake, we have Allie Bright. Allie, do you have a report for us?
Yes, I do. Hold on. Let me share that. Can everyone see the presentation that's joining us virtually?
Yes.
Thank you. All right. So not much new going on right now. You'll see we left this slide blank. The only thing worth mentioning is we will soon be sending out all of PSAP leadership and email talking about the shared site that we will hope to launch by the end of the year. We will be doing a couple of informational sessions on that shared site. It will be a good place for people to share information and find state of Iowa and national information as well for the running of PSAP. So be on the lookout for that email. So state of Iowa ALI deployment, we have 106 PSAPs complete. On GIS information, in September we had 22 counties qualify at $150,000. For period one, we have 48 counties total. Just informational GIS, we have an informational webinar on May 20th. That information is on the website, so be on the lookout for that.
Allie?
Yes?
We're only seeing the current travel public ed training fund slide. Nothing's
Okay.
changed.
All right, so let me keep that in this mode. If I don't put it in presentation, can you guys see me changing the slides?
Yes.
Okay. All right, so we will do that. So back to this one, we have 106 PSAPs that are complete. GIS, again, we had 22 counties in September qualified, and really giving us a total of 48 counties for period one. Back to the slide we were stuck on, we have no new requests for education and training fund. So currently we are at $79,772.50 as approved. So consolidation grant, we've previously approved the Fayette County Service Board. we have a request for an additional $7,500 in grant funds and consultant cost to merge radio systems for a new total, if approved, of $2,840, $694.45. And Lynn, are you on the call?
Yes, I am.
Okay, I will go ahead and hand it over to you.
Okay, thank you. I'll let you know when I want to move the slides. Yeah, if you'd like to move to slide 9. Thank you. So we've got Dubuque County went live with their max call taking for shared services on September 15th. We got Blackhawk, they're getting a PBX this week, and then they will be going live on October 27th with max call taking. And we have Ida County and Cedar Rapids Deutsche Communications have signed on to shared services that we're getting scheduled for next year. Next slide, please. This map gives you a snapshot of all of the counties that are live, are green. The ones that are pending deployment are yellow. And next slide, please. As always, we have a monthly newsletter that comes out. October's is going out today, I believe. If you are not receiving it and you would like to receive it, just send me an email at lwarren@zetron.com and I'll get you added to the distro list. We do send it to everybody when they sign up for shared services, but other PSAPs are welcome to get a copy as well. And that should be it for me.
Any questions or discussion from the group? I'll hand it back over.
Okay, thank you, Allie. As is mentioned, we don't have any training fund requests. Do we have any technical advisories? Okay, hearing none. Chris Myers is here. Chris, could you give us an update on Iowa Interoperability Governance Board?
Yes, Mr. Chair, I can. Just really quickly, can everybody hear me okay over the GoToMeeting?
Yes, we can.
All right, thank you. We are here today at the State Emergency Operations Center, and I do want to extend a huge thank you to John Benson, Blake DeRushi, Allie Bright, and John Paoli and HSE in general for letting us host the meetings here. The facility is very impressive, and it's continually undergoing some improvements as well. So it's a very, very impressive facility with a lot of capabilities, and we're very glad to be here today. I do want to update the council on a project that was brought forth last month with the Information Sharing Framework Task Force. You may remember Rob Dew and John Contestable presented to us last month. We all decided both at the council and board level that that project was worthy of undertaking. Since then, Blake and I have met with Rob and his group at CISA a few times over the last month. At this point, we kind of have a scale and scope of where we're going with it. And we've also worked on identifying areas of the state that would be asked to participate. The plan going forward with that is we're meeting with them again in a week or so. We're going to present our thoughts here from the state's perspective on where would be a good place to undertake this project. And then from there, we'll start notifying the stakeholders once we have some general consensus on the PSAPs involved. We are looking at kind of a very broad range of communication center types. Urban and rural, to try to get a nice mix, and then also possibly different parts of the state as well, since the operating pictures tend to vary geographically from one side of the state to the other. We're very optimistic on what this project will bring to us, and we're looking forward to running this to its completion. I think we're going to get a lot of good gains out of this. Quick update on ISIX, the network. We're still undergoing routine preventative maintenance. Again, I would encourage everybody to check their email to verify that they are getting emails from Scott Richardson regarding any maintenance windows in their area. Also, please make sure that we have your most current contact information. I know Scott had said that he had gotten some bounce backs recently, so we're trying to make sure that our contact lists are current, and we want to make sure that we have the most current information so you can get the most current information. With respect to the maintenance, again, if a site will have to be taken offline, we're also posting that on status boards so your dispatchers will have awareness. That is under the site status tab, and again, you'll have to sort that so that the sites undergoing maintenance will be listed at the top. All you need to do to sort that column that would have those updates would be to click on the column that says current administration notes twice, and it'll put anything that has a status update near the top. Continuing on with status board, Minnesota, since this is kind of a joint project with them, they've deployed their updates to status board within the confines of Minnesota, and that update has been successful. Where it stands for us today is that the MOA that would allow us to gain access to that updated source code so we could apply our own updates has been through our legal review here, and that legally reviewed document has been transmitted to Minnesota for their final review as well. Once that is complete and the MOA is executed, we'll get that source code down here and we'll start applying our updates to it as well, and then hopefully we'll have an idea on the schedule for deployment as that as well. There's some neat features coming. Quick update on our TIC-P and FOG meeting last month. That was held and it was well attended. We don't necessarily have any working documents yet, but we have the information laid out, and as that project progresses, I will definitely update the council on how that is going. For the West SDR deployment in Clinton, that is still ongoing. It's still in steady state. Clinton is getting close to the conclusion of their recovery efforts, and once that is done, the SDR is slated to be demobbed out of Clinton. We have made a commitment to them that West STR will remain in Clinton during their recovery process, so that resource will be tied up probably through the end of the calendar. ISSIX regional training, again, we're still working on some logistics for that. It kind of is 2 steps forward and 1 step back from time to time with the pandemic. We're still looking for some locations, so if you have some offerings up of facilities, please let us know. We are trying to hit every region once again at least once. That training does include ISSIX, it includes status board, and there's other things we can include into it as well. Again, there's no cost for the regional training, and if your agency wants one-on-one training, that's also available at no cost to the agency. ISSIX applications approved last month include Cherokee Regional Medical Center, Level 2 access, Poweshiek County Emergency Management, Level 1, Webster City Police Department, Level 3, Westcom had an update to their application for Level 4 as they're onboarding a new agency, and the Dubuque County 911 updated their Level 1 access to include nearly every radio in the county. Those were all approved last month. We do not have any applications up for approval today, as essentially we had to kind of do a quick audit on the loading process to make sure everything was good to go there. Those applications are expected to resume in their normal cadence starting next week and next month. But for updates today that may be noteworthy for this group is they did approve an update to the participation plan. That participation plan now includes a separate listing for paging talk groups. We've got a lot of agencies that want to do paging on ISSIX, so we're working on making sure that those can be factored into the loading studies. Nothing bad with the reevaluation of the loading procedure for this. It's just kind of doing a quick audit to make sure that we have an accurate number of radios on the system, their geographic locations, so that as that analysis is done, the numbers are sound. Quick policy update for everybody here. An updated ISSIX standard 1.4.0 that covers statewide pursuits is up for approval today. And then finally, for new items, FirstNet sites that went live over the past month in Iowa, 1 in Claremont, 1 in Frankville, 1 in Monona. We had 2 just to the south and east of the greater Des Moines metro area by Lacona and Columbia, and then 1 near Coralville, if you're curious as to where that is, since it's kind of a densely packed area, University of Iowa, 2nd Avenue and 2nd Street. Again, with the ongoing issues with the pandemic, we'll kind of continue to reevaluate our in-person meetings on a month-to-month basis, and those updates will be given to this group once we have a location set each month. That's my question, or that's my report, Mr. Chair. I'll go ahead and take any questions.
Okay, thank you very much, Chris. All right, up next, we have Jim Stromberg here from CISA. Jim, do you have anything for us?
I do, thank you. First, I want to just say it's thrilling to be in the room and actually seeing people face to face. So thank you for the opportunity to be here in person and to see this wonderful facility that we're in. September 30th marked the end of the federal calendar. So CISA and the Emergency Communication Division are busy with year-end and start-of-year tasks administratively. CISA, the Cybersecurity and Infrastructure Security Agency, I think is a bit of a mystery to a lot of people external to the federal world. And even within the federal world, CISA is one of the newest agencies. It's only 3 years old. So I thought I'd just take an opportunity to give a little bit of high-level information before I go into some of my report. CISA has 6 primary divisions. Excuse me, the Cybersecurity Division, Infrastructure Security, Emergency Communications, Integrated Operations, Stakeholder Engagement, and National Risk Management Divisions. The Emergency Communication coordinators, like Jim Lundstead was, and now is retired, and myself, is within the Emergency Communications Division, and that's led by Executive Associate Director Billy Bob Brown. This past year, there's been discussion about moving the Emergency Communication Coordinators to the Integrated Operations Division led by Associate Director Laura Delaney. And doing so would align us with the other field operators within CISA, those in the protective security and the cybersecurity area. There's been a lot of concern and angst about the move. I personally think that aligning us with those others is going to be a good move. It was originally planned for July 1st, got pushed back to October 1st, and now the official date is November 1st. We'll see if that ends up getting pushed back also. I know that Swick Myers has been given the opportunity to weigh in with CISA leadership about the move and making sure that the coordinators can continue to support the states like we've been doing to date. And they've heard those messages from the Swicks loud and clear. And again, I'm not worried that that's going to be an issue moving forward. CISA is under new leadership by Director Jen Easterly. She was appointed in just July, so not only are we a young agency, we have a new leader, but I'm really excited about the leadership that she brings to CISA. She's really done a good job of setting the tone and the culture for our organization, that we are the nation's cyber and infrastructure defense agency, one team, one fight, one CISA. Within the Emergency Communications Division, Director Brown has recently been emphasizing the Emergency Communication Division's Vision 2030. And simply, that's to keep pace of the evolution of emergency communications to Internet protocol-based technologies from circuit technologies, and that our workforce must become a cyber workforce. And that really is played out in some of the messaging that we have. We're no longer talking about some of the simple issues that came with emergency communication challenges, but we're really migrating to a cyber conversation. Specific to that, October is Cybersecurity Awareness Month. CISA's theme is to do your part, #BeCyberSmart. And each week throughout October, we're highlighting some different ways that individual organizations can improve their cybersecurity efforts. And we're doing that through weekly webinars. The first one was Be Cyber Smart. This week's was Fight the Fish for phishing. Next week's is Explore, Experience, and Share. And then week 4 of October is Cybersecurity First. Those that have already been presented can be found on our website as a YouTube type video. And you can just go to cisa.gov/live to see those past videos, or to sign up for the new videos if you want to watch them live. CISA continues to prioritize ransomware education, and we have a dedicated website, stopransomware.gov. And that's a location where you can find U.S. government tools, information, and resources to reduce the risk of ransomware and to improve resilience. On September 28th, CISA published an insider risk self-assessment to help organizations manage, detect, and prevent insiders from being insider threats to both physical and cyber systems. I know that Swick Myers sent out some information about that to his email list. And on September 28th, CISA and the National Security Agency released an information sheet entitled Selecting and Hardening Remote Access Virtual Private Network Solutions. That details factors to consider when choosing a VPN and recommending configurations. In some ways, these seem like just foreign topics to us, but in other ways, we need to learn to think about these things because all of our emergency communications are becoming more and more cyber-centric. Chris had a chance to talk about the tick fog meeting that was held, so I won't go into that. And then finally, I'll wrap up with CISA is divided into 10 regions. We're in Region 7, and the local region recently reached out to me because they want to update what they call the CISA Gateway tool. And that's a tool to help us inventory and understand our nation's critical infrastructure. They want to add PSAPs to that tool. And for all of Region 7, they only had 13 PSAPs identified. I can't tell you what states they were from off the top of my head, but certainly 13 isn't all of them. So they asked me if the list that they had come up with from NENA was accurate, and I thought, well, the best way to find out is just to reach out to the state 911 administrators. So I contacted Blake DeRushi, and that very same day he had me an updated list, and I was able to provide that information to the Region 7 leadership to get that CISA Gateway updated. So I appreciate the speed at which this state is operating, and I mean, already we're going to take that from 13 PSAPs to the 100 plus that are in Iowa. So good job. That'll conclude my report. I'd be happy to take your questions if you have any. Thank you.
Okay, thank you, Jim. Do we have any legislative issues to discuss? Okay, hearing none. Do we have any information that council members would wish to share?
Mr. Chair.
Yes.
Mark Murphy. Hey, I gotta just bring something up that's happened here recently. We found out about with the whole COVID thing. We've had one of our businesses that we know of in town has started using Microsoft Teams for their phone service. And when they dial 911 through the Teams, it goes to someplace in Colorado. And they're not sure how to get it.
That's good to know.
I just thought I'd bring it up because it came up when we were doing our phone switch over. I called the company that my wife works for, and they use Teams, and all their phones are going to Colorado.
Okay, thank you for letting everybody know. Any other information to share?
I would just like to say, and probably speak on behalf of APCO and NENA, that we just had our conference, and we thank the 911 Council for sponsoring or paying for our training. We had good training. We had CTO training on the NENA Day, and we had communication training on the APCO Day. Very well attended, and we couldn't do it without you, so thank you.
Great. All right. Good to hear. Just a couple things from me. Just to point out that the Committee for Baseline Knowledge for Communications Professionals is still a committee. It doesn't appear on the agenda. I imagine that we'll probably get some more work done with that committee once we get a little bit more back to normal from COVID issues. And also, I'll point out that while last month we did disband the 34A committee, I think that that might have been a little premature. I'm aware of a couple of other organizations that are looking at some legislative issues dealing with 34A, so I think it would be in this council's best interest to perhaps keep that committee alive for a little while to see if there's any response from this council for any of those activities going on by other organizations that may be good, bad, or indifferent to 911. So I don't have anything for them right now, but as I learn more, I'll reach out. I think Tracy Bearden, you were the chair of that committee, and I'll communicate with you as I learn more.
Okay, sounds good, Chair. Thank you.
Okay. Anything else?
Yes, Rob Denner, can you hear me?
Yes, go ahead.
Here at Westcom, we had the opportunity in the last month to have another community add to our consortium. The city of Windsor Heights here in the western metro of Des Moines made the decision to leave being dispatched by the Polk County Sheriff's Office and join Westcom. That's happened for a couple other communities over the past few years, but I can say that we learned some things when Windsor Heights transitioned to us that didn't seem to be issues when other communities have joined us. One of the biggest ones was working with all of the carriers, the mobile cellular carriers, which of course we've done in the past and do on a routine basis. And I see under new business, there's an item for notifying the carriers of routing changes. That was a bit clunky this time for some reason. I would also say that we learned, and we were unaware of this, that there's actually 3 anti-alley providers for VoIP calls. It made sense that Comtech was, and we had been dealing with Comtech. It made sense that Intrado was, but we had a few businesses that fell out and were still routing to the old PSAP for several days until we discovered that there's actually a third company called Bandwidth that I had not heard of before, that they're also a VoIP router and that those are the big 3. So I would just offer up, if you were unaware of Bandwidth being a VoIP router, that they are. And if anyone else ever ends up in this situation where a local political subdivision changes their PSAP, I certainly have some lesson learned notes that I'd be happy to share with anyone.
Yeah, if I may too, this is Bill Burnett with Comtech. And Rob, to your point, I've taken note of some internal things in Comtech to ensure that PSAPs, that want to do this in the future are aware of maybe carriers in their area that they need to reach out to for PNE updates and shapefile updates. So I'm better, prepared going forward to help with directing PSAPs to, in the right direction with what carriers to contact and to make appropriate changes.
Okay, thank you. Any other things to share? Okay, moving on then. I don't have any unfinished business. I do have a new business item, and I'm sorry I don't have in my notes who this was that requested it, but we did have a request to add to discuss better workflow when notifying cell carriers of routing changes. Do we have somebody on that would wish to discuss that?
I believe that's what Rob just brought up.
I don't know that I asked for the agenda item. I think, though, a conversation between me, Blake, and Bill has been that we probably all need to improve our documentation and the process of a jurisdiction transitioning PSAPs. We learned some things this time, and I think we could make that easier in the future.
Hi, this is Lawrence. It was actually me that requested that item for new business, and it was more apparent this time with Windsor Heights, but we always have had work to do to try to add on corporate, not what I'm trying to say, new cities into our PSAP, even with Norwalk and Waukee. It's just that this time we thought when we thought that everything was done, it actually wasn't. But my whole thing is that whenever we need to notify wireless carriers about a need to change cell towers from one PSAP to another, it's always a fishing game trying to figure out who I need to contact. And this time, one of the differences was it's done a little differently than it used to be, because now they're using GIS, whereas it used to be more of a spreadsheet thing. They'd send us a spreadsheet. We'd pick out the ones that need to be converted to a new PSAP and send those in. But my thing is there any way that we could have one point of contact, someone that that knows all these things, so we're not going through trying to find contacts from each cell carrier? Some do. I know T-Mobile, they service themselves. U.S. Cellular and AT&T are serviced by Intrado. But every time it just seems like we're going through trying to find out who to contact to let them know that we need to switch some cell sectors over to our PSAP. So I didn't know if Comtech is interested in being that contact, if the state's interested, but it just feels like there should be a better communication system for this. I just wanted to pose it publicly to see if there's any ideas.
Also, Mr. Chair, this is Nick Brockman, Polk County. I'll echo Mr. Lawrence's comments and Rob's comments, because I was participating in this from the Polk County side. And when they had asked us to reach out to cell phone carriers, it was like, how do we do that? So I will echo that. It would be nice to have one point or one go-to for that information. Even today, I have an issue that I want to reach out to AT&T for routing, and I just blindly have to contact Intrado and somebody from Intrado. There's not just one point of contact.
So this is Bill with Comtech, and I'll address the Comtech side of it. So we have no direct interaction with cell tower routing and how that's set up for PSAP with the carriers. We can kind of back end, because we get ESRKs and PANIs from those carriers. We can kind of back end it and say, oh, we see that we have PANIs loaded from these carriers from previous, interaction. But we are not directly or indirectly involved with the routing of the cell towers. So I don't know. I'd be hesitant to say that we'd be a good primary contact for that, just because we're really not involved with the process. We do, on the other hand, we do, need information from the carriers, such as the PNE updates, MSAG updates, et cetera, so that we can ensure that on our end, we have that information and to update for those changes. But maybe there's further discussion that needs to be made about who would be the best primary contact for PSAPs to identify the carriers that are servicing.
Isn't this something that the council can really work on? Because Rob brought up a good point that he had some best practices, and I know that we don't have any authority per se, but we are kind of that in between, providing guidance and recommendations to the state. We have representation from all different bodies, so we can gather some of this information, verify the contacts, take the best practices that we discuss from even previous agendas, but future, and put them into some kind of a living document that can be referenced, and kind of upload that either on the state site or somewhere else, so that people do have a reference point. And it kind of just seems like that'd be something, because I know a lot of times we are asked to assist with the process with the state, so maybe this would be one thing that we can do. Just a thought.
Absolutely, and I will keep this issue on our agenda for future meetings, so we can continue to discuss this and see if we can work through these issues.
I'm sorry. Because I think the problem hear me okay? The microphone on? Okay, I think
Yes.
the problem is that no one really has a vested interest in keeping this list. So I know that we don't, as a council, we don't have any authority or any teeth to be able to force anybody to do anything. But I just I think that's something to think about, is how can we, you know, who would have a vested interest, who, you know, how could we give them a how do you say it? I guess that's just a thing to talk about, because we all have an interest in, you know, when the time comes we need it, we have an interest, but when that time's not there, then nobody's really interested. I don't think about it except for every few years when we bring on a new city, and otherwise. But the thing that's interesting is that all the cell carriers, they know how to get hold of me, but I don't know how to get hold of them. So that's the thing, that there's just some missing link in there that I just don't know what it is.
Okay, thank you. Anything further on that subject? All right, I don't have any travel requests. Do I have any business from the floor here in person? Okay, do I have any business from anyone joining us virtually? Okay, I'll just point out for those on the phone that don't have the ability to see the chat, Ryan Mulhall pointed out that related to the virtual phone, that any such program would require you to set the emergency location. So it would be any such platform, I imagine, would have that issue. So he's pointing that out. So if you didn't see that in the chat, just letting you know. Anything else? Okay, hearing none, I would entertain a motion to adjourn. Okay, we have a motion to, do I have a second? Here's the second. Any discussion? All those in favor, signal by saying aye.
Aye.
All right. Aye. Thank you. We're adjourned. Thank you, everybody.